everyone. Today, I'm gonna be watching a video done by Bestest Gamer that is a Detective Conan analysis video. And let's just watch the video because I feel like this is gonna be pretty good. This guy has been doing this for a while now, and I really wanted to watch this video, but I thought I would watch this video with you guys and experience this together because this is a freaking Detective Conan analysis video for a character, and my expectations are really up there. So, let's just watch this video and see what happens.
The Heisei Holmes. This is the title of the first chapter of the Detective Conan manga and Kudo Shinichi's life goal. In the first episode, Shinichi also directly stated that he is a big fan of Sherlock Holmes, and his name after becoming Edogawa Conan was also based on Holmes' author, Conan Doyle. But if you had read Holmes' book before, you would know that the characters of Kudo Shinichi and the real Sherlock Holmes are completely different. Just like in the first episode, Shinichi is a young man who likes football and is a big fan of Holmes, and overall looks like a very optimistic and happy person. At the same time, however, I also felt his cruelty. When Ron asked Shinichi about why he wanted to be a detective, his answer was because the feeling of driving the culprit to a dead end was very exciting for him, and that he could also be admired and respected by others. Later, when Shinichi and Ran went to an amusement park to play, they encountered a crime scene and met Jin for the first time. At this time, Shinichi became curious about Jin's eyes and how he could be so calm after seeing a headless corpse. But from Ron's perspective, Shinichi is similar. After witnessing such a cruel scene and the murderer's confession, Shinichi still has that optimistic attitude, as if he didn't care about the story of the victim and the murderer at all. All he was looking for was the truth. In contrast, Shinichi's idol Holmes seeks justice, not revealing the truth. This is because Sherlock Holmes lived in a completely different era from Kudo Shinichi's. Holmes' era was even more chaotic. At that time, the legal and social systems weren't perfect. If you wanted to implement justice, you would sometimes need to resort to criminal means. Therefore, Holmes will sometimes sympathize with the culprit and even ignore some crimes to pursue his own justice. On the other hand, Shinichi's era is in the modern times, and for Shinichi, crimes in the society under the rule of law are unforgivable. So no matter how hated the victim is, no matter how many reasons the murderer had, he will choose to reveal the truth. Then he would hand over the work of sentencing the culprit to the police, and he himself would look for the next case. As the first chapter of the manga says, he wants to become the Heisei Holmes, which is a modern famous detective, not the same detective as Sherlock Holmes. Therefore, in the first episode, Shinichi is like a robot. Although he has the wisdom and logic of Holmes, he lacks human emotion, not afraid or sad, just a robot that only follows the law. His real first growth was when he changed.
I wouldn't say he was a robot I wouldn't say that he was a robot, but more self-centered than Holmes, because according to me, Holmes was a person that could give a judgment, have a character judgment, and do all these things, and to an extent, and Shinichi does that as well. But in my opinion, Shinichi also doesn't care about a lot of people, like at least in the start of Detective Conan. I feel like he did care about people, but he didn't sympathize a lot with people. So he did have a bit of distance. So I would say he was a bit narcissistic, to be honest. And that's how he started off. So I wouldn't say that he was a robot, to be honest.
From Kudo Shinichi to Edogawa Conan. Before that, Shinichi liked to show off his abilities very much. He would show love letters he received in front of a girl that likes him, and he would often look down on those incapable people like Mori Kogoro, thinking of him as just an incompetent, sloppy old man. But after he became Edogawa Conan, he began to slowly mature. In order to avoid the black organization and protect the people around him, he must learn to keep a low profile.
Yeah, that's where I agree with. I agree with this point, because after he became Conan, he had to learn a lot of stuff, and he got to see stuff from another perspective than the normal popular high school detective, because he was really popular, so he got treated different than everyone else. Like, in all the cases, he was the first to be approached. In school, he was really popular with everyone, as you saw, like a lot of letters. So to go from someone as big as Shinichi Kudo, who is basically a celebrity, to someone who is just a kid at the start, at the beginning of Detective Conan, he's just a kid who lives with Ran and Kogoro. And to see everything from a different perspective, to get an idea of what happened and what happens around him, and to have an actual goal other than solve a case, move on, to have an actual goal that is find the black organization and uncover what they're doing and just try and fix everything. He's, as he said, maturing. I guess that's the best way to put it. He's maturing throughout all this, and that is something that is really cool.
Every time, he has to be very cautious when he solves a case, and finally give all the credits to others. It's not like the current Conan, who can rely on the FBI, CIA, and various undercover agents of the Black Organization to fight against the Black Organization. In the beginning, Conan had to rely on himself to do everything, and every clue about the Black Organization was exchanged for his own life. On the other hand, Conan was no longer arrogant. After such long contact with Mori Kogoro, Conan also began to understand that this sloppy old man was actually a reliable father, a loyal husband, and a detective worthy of his respect. After spending a long time with Ron, he also understood his true feelings. At first, he felt jealous when Ron was hit on, and even finally confessed to Ron in London. It can be said that Kudo Shinichi finally grew up and matured after becoming smaller and becoming Edogawa Conan. These are Kudo Shinichi's growths as a human being, and his growth as a detective is in the Moonlight Sonata case. In this episode, as usual, Conan successfully reasoned out who the culprit was. The culprit's motives were as pathetic as usual, and the victim is just as hated. But this time, the culprit didn't kneel down and admit his fault as before. Instead, he chose to die while playing the piano, surrounded by flames. In this case, Conan still wanted to save the murderer, but after the goal was accomplished and the truth was revealed, the culprit didn't want to live anymore. In the end, the culprit threw Conan out the window and chose to stay. Looking at the blazing flames and listening to the sad Moonlight Sonata, Conan realized for the first time that sometimes the truth can hurt people. The feeling of driving a culprit to ruin is a very exciting thing for a detective, but not for the culprit. That may very well be the fuse for suicide. From Conan's perspective, this was his first murder. Therefore, after this, whenever Conan deduces, he'll try to think from the perspective of the culprit. What things should be told to the culprit and what things shouldn't be. The current Conan is now trying his best to save the lives of everyone, including the culprits. The most representative case of Conan's growth is in the episode The Distinguished Family series of Mysterious Death Case. Like the Moonlight Sonata case, in this episode, Conan once again successfully reasoned out the culprit's tactics and motives. But instead of revealing the truth immediately, he looked in the kettle and asked Hattori Heiji if he had killed anyone before. It turned out that the kettle was not filled with water, but with gasoline. The culprit planned to set the house on fire and commit suicide after she had killed someone. Then, Conan changed the gasoline to water to prevent the tragedy from happening again. From what Conan said to Heiji after the case was solved, it can be seen that Edogawa Conan really matured a lot compared to Kudo Shinichi in the first episode.
Just be the choice sometimes.
It's like Conan said, no one in this world is perfect, including himself. Although he has always looked very smart and handsome, as well as being optimistic, master of soccer balls, can shoot guns, drive cars, drive yachts, and even fly planes. Wait, you're telling me this is not perfect? Anyways, his mental age is still just that of a high school student. Sometimes he would still express sadness for the culprits and feel confused about his choice. For example, in the 3 Ks of Osaka case, Conan's idol Rei became one of the suspects, and Conan wanted to find evidence to prove his innocence. However, all the evidence found indicates that Rei is the real murderer. This plot is similar to the Conan movie Strategy Above the Deaths, but the difference is that in that movie, Uncle Mori chose to arrest the culprits based on his own judgment, while Conan pretended not to know after knowing the truth. Finally, under Heiji's persuasion and his instinct as a detective, he chose to let Rei turn himself in. This is also the first time Conan has shown that childlike willfulness and hesitation, which also makes his role more humane. Uncle Mori has also arrested his friends and students, and Conan has also experienced the same thing, an important step for him to become a famous detective. Maybe some Conan fans have a similar idea. What if Ron commits a crime? Will Shinichi arrest her? First of all, I think it's absolutely impossible for a girl like Ron to commit a crime. Secondly, if she really accidentally did something illegal, I believe Shinichi will reveal the truth. But before that, Shinichi will try his best to find evidence and prove that Ron did not intentionally commit the crime. If no one is dead, Shinichi will ask for the victim's opinion like in the celebrity secret case, and give the choice to the victim. But thanks to Ron's mother and her network, I think she should be fine even after she commits a crime. Therefore, after reorganizing all this information, I found that Shinichi isn't just a detective who only knows to seek the truth. To be precise, what he's looking for are the facts. Obeying the law is his responsibility, but the thing that's really precious to him is life. For example, in a New York episode, Shinichi found a murderer whose actual identity was Vermouth. But Shinichi's first reaction wasn't to arrest her, but to save her and send Ran to the hospital. At this time, the dialogue between Shinichi and Vermouth is one of the most memorable segments in the whole Detective Conan series that I've watched.
なぜだどうして俺を助けた一体どうして
わけなんているのかよ人が人を殺す動機なんて知ったこっちゃねえが人が人を助ける理由に論理的な思考は存在しねえだろ
This episode also showed me what the real modern Sherlock Holmes is. By the way, if it's Conan's principle to arrest criminals, then he should have arrested Kaito 20 years ago, instead of asking him for help every time it's about to be game over. On the other hand, Conan is also influencing others as he matures, especially the Boy Detectives Club. Although they didn't really play a big role in the TV anime, they played a key role in the movies, such as in the 14 Targets and Countdown to Heaven. They can help Conan track down the culprit's actions and even make arrests directly. So, the early stage of the Boy Detectives Club gave me the feeling that they're no longer kids who like to make trouble, but a group of brave and young detective teammates. Hattori Heiji also began to seem more and more like Shinichi. When he discovered the crime scene, he's more willing to assume that the victim was alive and try his best to rescue him than to expose the truth. However, you may have noticed that the episodes I've exemplified are very previous episodes. Does this mean that the recent Detective Conan didn't describe the characters carefully? This question is actually very difficult to answer, because Conan's characters Masumi Sera and Furuya Rei, who appeared in recent years, are both very capable and charming. But in order to show their abilities, the author began to weaken the other roles. The most weakened character is probably Jodie Starling. The mystery and reasoning ability she debuted with is even above Rei. But after Akai Shuichi appeared on the stage, she pretty much became a viewer of others deducing. There are many other people that have also been weakened, such as Santos and Sato. When they first appeared, they looked like elites in the police force. But later on, they became similar to Takagi, the nanny of the Boys Detectives Club. Then there's Ran. When I was a kid watching Detective Conan, I always wanted a sister like Ran. She could cook, was gentle, and would protect you if someone bullied you. But what Ran has done in recent years is just a report to the police, and is often kidnapped even as a karate master. But to be honest, I especially like Hugh Mizudera's confession. And the Boys Detective Club now seem to have become like children again, and I can summarize their character analysis in one sentence. You're the one who is occasionally useful and has a dream to become a protagonist of a harem anime. You're the mascot of this club, and also a professional hostage like Ran. Are you a giant? Haibara Ai has also changed from a cold, dark, and even self-harming traitor into an idol fan like Mori Kogoro. But this type of change is still acceptable to me because it's fully in line with Ai's experience and logic. In the first few hundred episodes, she lost her sister and didn't have any companions to help her. She was afraid that the black organization would find her, and this kind of living in fear every day forced a young girl to change into a mature-looking person. Then, in the next few hundred episodes, with the help of the Boy Detective Club, she started to slowly become normal. Coupled with the contact of Ran, who was very similar to his sister, being able to be understood by Conan, being accepted by Agasa, and then because of the FBI's protection, she finally gained a sense of security. And so, she gradually became like this. At the same time, I becoming a fan of the athlete Higo had already been hinted in episode 280. The athlete Higo, also a betrayer, was finally accepted by his team, and naturally became an idol, worshipped by Ai. What hasn't changed in Detective Conan is probably Uncle Mori and Conan's bastardly personality.
いや、僕が誘いたかったのは君の方なんだけど。
嘘。やったじゃないその子。すごい。
バカな。その子に限ってそんなはずはない。きっとこれには何か裏に何か隠されているはずだ。
This time's character analysis is over. If you have any comments or any video recommendations for me, please leave a message in the comment section below. If you like this video, hit the like button and subscribe. And I'll see you all in the next video.
Wow. Dude, that's really good. Come on, yeah. You know, I would give him applause because this is freaking good. Like, this guy took his time, he made this video, and he's edited really good. Like, a character-centric video about Detective Conan is something that I really wanted to see, and to see this guy do it really good, you know, it was such a really good job, you know. Yeah, Bestest Gamer has knocked it out of the park with this video, and I really recommend you guys check this out. And he's done a ton of videos. Like, I just came across the channel like a while ago, and this is like his first video, and he has done a whole lot more than this, so I definitely recommend you guys go and check this video out, and his other videos as well, because this is just the tip of the iceberg. This guy has tackled a whole lot of other stuff on his channel, and his editing quality is pretty good, you know, way better than mine. So, be sure to check this guy out and check out his videos. It is so cool. To get into what he's told in the video, I agree with most of his points. And in the end, he did talk about the later chapters of Detective Conan and that, slowing down a bit. That might be true. I do agree with it. It does, slow down a bit. But, I'll just play devil's advocate and, defend the later chapters by saying, it has been recently more towards, the Black Organization recently, and us finding more stuff about the Black Organization. I'm not going to go into specifics right now, but, stuff about the Black Organization, and that has been pretty awesome. And to have the spotlight on the Black Organization does lead into us having a bit more of a spotlight on the Akai family, and that has been, I do acknowledge, that has been some of the focus of the recent chapters. And even though, it's not a bad thing, the FBI people to other people in the Detective Conan world universe have maybe had a diminishing role in Detective Conan. But the good thing about having a series as long as Detective Conan is, even though these characters disappear for a while in, one chapter or maybe 100 chapters, there is definitely an opportunity for them to come later on. And yes, some characters do end up being just your typical maybe sometimes, but who knows, they might just shock you in the end. There's always a twist to Detective Conan, and for these characters, I feel like there is definitely a room for growth, and there's definitely a while for the end of Detective Conan, so don't lose hope. You're definitely going to be seeing a lot more of these characters in the next few years. Even though I feel like we're getting closer to the end of the series, the focus is going to be more on the Black Organization, but with a bit of sprinkling in between for the other characters in the series, and for them to get their time in the spotlight and character development as well. So this guy has done a really good job, and I'm really happy with this video, and I'm really happy that I checked this out and I waited to check this out with you guys. So please let me know what you guys thought about this in the comments down below, and go and check this guy out and say hi, because this guy is freaking awesome and I just subscribed to him. So guys, check it out and let me know what you think about this video and his video too, because his video is really cool. I'm gonna go through another few videos later on. If you want me to see a few more of this guy's videos, he has done videos on the Akai family and the story of Detective Conan and a ton of other videos, so be sure to check him out. And if you want me to check it out too, just let me know in the comments down below, and I'll see you guys later. Bye. See you in the comments.